Hi everyone, this is my Fujimi Celica XX/Supra build video. This is an older kit. It has a space for motor in part of it. So it used to be a toy, very simple, pretty old tooling probably. Curbside kit, of course, no engine detail. For this kit, I will experiment with lowering the car or making sure that the car sits at a good distance from the ground where there's not a big gap in the wheel well. Nicely lowered, maybe not slammed, so I will test fit the wheels and suspension and see how I can modify it so it can be slightly tucked in. This kit came with a body kit, so I had to fit the various pieces correctly. They didn't fit perfectly, but it helped with Tamiya extra thin cement. There were also little tabs on the flip up headlights that you can cut out so you can make it a flip up headlight. I had to scribe some of the tabs. I didn't get all of it, but it helped a lot. You can see some of the gaps in the body kit where it didn't fit well. Even the Tamiya extra thin didn't help, so I had to put putty on it. I wanted to put an extra thin line of putty, but it's a little thick. Also, in the middle of the build, I dropped something on the hood, of course. So now I have to use the Tamiya extra thin to glue the piece back together and hopefully melt some of the plastic so it would seep out through the seams. That way I don't have to use putty later, I can just sand it. You can see where some of the glue seeped out, which is what I intended, and I sanded it down to fix the crack. Here's the chassis all painted, flat black, masked. I airbrushed it using some Vallejo Mecha colors. This is after I airbrushed a couple of Vallejo metal colors. This is where I masked the exhaust system. I also airbrushed some burnt iron at a extreme angle, so it looks like the chassis is a little bit weathered from the elements. That way some of the texture can stand out. Let's see how this came out. For the roll cage, I had to test fit it. This is Tamiya gray primer for the interior. Primer for the rear spoiler. Here's a color coat for the interior. I stripped the chrome off of the wheels, that way it gave me options of what color to paint it. I decided to use Alclad paints, so here's the gloss black base. Here's Alclad chrome, airbrushed in light coats. I used my old Tamiya airbrush. I didn't want to put metallics through my main airbrush. Hi everyone. So for the Celica, I am thinking I will paint it some sort of champagne gold. So I'm thinking one of these two. Tamiya titanium gold or Tamiya champagne gold. To help me decide, I will also test it on top of different base layers. I will paint it on top of a red base. I will also paint it on top of a gray primer. And I will also paint it on top of a black primer, see which one looks the best. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these spoons right now. Also, I repaired the hood here because I dropped something heavy on it. Used a lot of Tamiya extra thin to melt some of this plastic. So some would seep out here, almost work as like a putty. Sanded it down. Looks pretty good right now. So we'll see how that holds up and how that looks after paint. So here are the results of my test on the various spoons and the two different colors. We have the Tamiya. Here's a champagne gold. We also have the titanium gold. This is the model body. So champagne gold on this side, titanium gold on this side. Champagne gold on a red undercoat, kind of like this bare plastic. As you can see some of the red coming through. Okay, this would be good for maybe like a Gundam type build, probably. This is the gray undercoat, gray primer, light gray that is. Here's the black primer underneath. Both of these are very similar. This one's smoother probably because the gray primer was actually smoother. The black primer was slightly rougher, not as smooth and glossy. So, slight difference here. I can see a tiny bit of the black coming through right here. Here's the titanium gold on the red. I think I messed up on the red, or I didn't shake the titanium enough for you to see all the red coming through. Here is the gray, light gray primer underneath. You can see the titanium gold is slightly darker, slightly more gold. And here's with the black primer underneath. So titanium gold, a little bit more gold. This is the champagne gold, a little bit more silver looking. So it just depends if you want a little bit more silver gold or a little bit more like a yellow gold, gold. And out of these two, I'm thinking I like the lighter one. Of the lighter one, the champagne gold, we have, I don't think the red's gonna work, so we'll basically need some sort of, we'll need some sort of primer underneath. Can't put it on bare plastic, bare red. That doesn't look right, at least not for a car. So out of these two, I like this one, the gray primer underneath, and I slightly like this one, a little bit more to this one. So what I'm gonna do is use not a light gray primer. I will use a regular, the Tamiya regular gray primer that's slightly darker than this. So it's kind of gonna be in between these two. That will be the next video where I will spray the primer on the car body. Here's a Tamiya gray primer coat. This is after about a week of drying. I didn't need to let it dry for a week, but that's the only time I had to do the painting. You can actually paint the color coat probably after a day or two after the primer. The best way to get good coverage on this car because of those side skirts is to start with it upside down so I could get some of those crevices. Start upside down so I can paint some of the crevices that's between the side skirts. That way the paint can adhere better. Here's how it came out. I still see a little bit of the scar from the damage this sustained. Hopefully it's not too noticeable. I need to do a little sanding. Even though you're not supposed to sand metallic. Just get some of the dust particles out.